Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else. I've got a quick and dirty live session for you. It's a Tuesday morning broadcast for me. It's about 8:07 a.m. In sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a little late to the broadcast. Everything that could go wrong when I was looking up my equipment this morning did go wrong. But that's a perfect segue to what I want to talk about today because I want to share some information with you, something that I talk to my clients all the time about, and that's the difference between ability and capacity. Now, for those that don't know, I'm Ren Jones. I'm a certified personal trainer. I work exclusively with moms over 30. So I have a lot of midlife clients. I'm certified as a personal trainer, but I'm also certified as a corrective exercise specialist. But more importantly, for this conversation, I'm certified. I've got three different certifications in menopause coaching and fitness. So one is from Girls Gone Strong, amazing organization. Another one is from MedFit, another amazing organization, medically based. And then my third certification for helping clients through the menopause transition is from Dr. Stacy Sims, her course Menopause 2.0. So I want to share something with you that I think is going to help you reframe how you feel about your journey in terms of your health and wellness journey. And this is something that a lot of my clients, again, I only coach uh, primarily moms, but women over 30. This is something that a lot of my clients go through, man, and it's ability versus capacity. And I want to give you three strategies in the context of this talk that I think can help you have a more enjoyable and a more consistent fitness and wellness journey. So let's dive into it. I don't like to wait. So when I talk about ability versus capacity, I'm really talking about you comparing yourself to some other version of yourself, whether that's a younger version of yourself, whether that's a childless version of yourself, for those of you that do have kids, whether that's a less busy version of yourself or more energetic version of yourself. Oftentimes, what I find with my clients is that they have a tendency to be sort of self critical about what they're able to get done during the course of a day, and they're contrasting that, they're comparing that to what they were able to get done at some other point in their life. And what I simply tell them is, hey, look, I know that you have the ability to do this thing, whatever X represents, right? But I want you to be more tuned in to what your capacity is at any given moment. Because for a lot of the women that I have the privilege to coach, the circumstances shift for them on a daily basis. For example, you have plans to work out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that week. And because of the fact that you are assisting or dealing with or worrying about an aging or ailing parent, you have to shift your focus on that day to your parent who may need just general attention. They may need trips back and forth to the doctor's office. They may need caregiving, and because of that, even though you have the ability to complete a workout, you no longer have the capacity, whether it be because of the fact that you're going through hormonal changes due to the menopause transition, which will sometimes make you just tired's not the right word, right? My clients describe it as just a to the bone level of exhaustion, right? Something that you've never experienced before. Exhaustion in a way that sleep and rest don't fix it, right? This is because you're having a hormonal shift, and there's a reduction in energy due to the reduction of fluctuation of estrogen, specifically estradiol E2. Like, these things are real things. This isn't you being lazy. This isn't you not wanting it bad enough, right? I love to see coaches, particularly male coaches, say things like you got to want it more. You don't quit. You don't want it bad enough. Without having the ability to deploy the empathy of understanding that you have a very real biological change in how your body processes energy. You have a very real biological change in what you're able to get accomplished in any given day, not only physical, but mental, psychological as well. So you may feel like you rest in judgment of yourself because of the fact that when I was blank blank years old, I could do blank blank blank. And I understand that feeling, but I want all of my clients, again, and I'm only working with primarily moms over 30, women over 30. What I always want all my clients to understand is, hey, the ability that you have at any given point may be very different from the capacity that you have on any given day. And that's nothing to feel ashamed about. That's nothing to feel like, that's nothing to be self critical about. What we want to do, what we want to do is have a strategy and it's something that we can implement to allow us to get the best out of the day that we can at any given time. So I spoke yesterday, I put up a post yesterday about the idea of control. And I'm not very fond of the idea of control. In this case, I was talking about controlling your food, controlling your cravings. I don't like the idea of control any more than I like the idea of controlling a partner or a spouse. What I do love is the idea of understanding the relationship and operating in the confines of that understanding of the relationship. And in the case of what I'm talking about today, understanding the relationship means understanding your own capacity and how to get the best out of what you've got. Your 100%, particularly ladies, if you're at this point of midlife, and I'm in no way indicating that you can't do things because of your age or that you can't do things because you're experiencing transition through the menopause spectrum. Each woman's individual experience is highly individualized. But what I am saying is we have to understand that what your 100% is on Monday may be wildly different from what your 100% is or Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. And if we can make the on the spot adjustments to work with what your capacity is on any given day, you can have a much more enjoyable health journey and a much more graceful journey. And I mean grace by giving yourself grace, a much more graceful journey in terms of your journey through your own menopause spectrum, how the menopause transition expresses itself through your body is your individual fingerprint of that transition. So I want to give you three strategies for getting the best out of your capacity any given day as you're taking a wellness journey, and not judging yourself against the contrast of your capacity that day versus your ability that you're used to. And the first thing is, I want you to move your zero. And you say, Ren, what do you mean by move my zero? I mean, you can adjust what your zero is at any given time. I talk about BAMs with my clients, BAMS, your bare ass minimums, what you're able to do on any given day. Because what I know for sure is that if your zero is actually zero, when all the shit hits the fan, and it's the least optimal time in the day, in the week, in your life, what is your zero? Now, for the average person, their zero is that they do nothing, right? For the particularly destructive person, their zero is actually a negative because they will choose poor behaviors, right? So when you're not doing anything in terms of your health and fitness, sometimes it's just a zero, but sometimes it's choosing destructive things, coping with foods that don't serve your intention for your health. I don't believe in good foods or bad foods necessarily, but I do understand that some things are in line with your intention for your health, and some things are wildly out of line with your intention for your health. Defaulting to things like drinking for numbing the pain, self medicating through poor behaviors. For some people, that's their zero. For some people, their zero is just zero. But when I talk about moving your zero, I use this example. I have a client who was ill last week, and what we decided was that she would take a 5 or 10 minute walk, right? Just out of the door of her home, a little bit down her street, and a little bit back, 5 minutes out and 5 minutes back. Instead of her not doing anything at all, instead of her choosing destructive behaviors, eating large amounts of things that don't affect her body well, or drinking alcohol or destructive thought processes, we decided she can get out, take a 5 minute walk down her street, 5 minute back. That's a much better zero. So her default, her least involved methodology, her the path of least resistance for her was just take a 10-minute walk. That's a great zero. If you can move your zero to something productive, and if you think back to all the times that your wellness journey was at a zero, all the times you didn't exercise, all the times you chose the worst version of nutrition, right? And you replaced all those times with a 10-minute walk, you'd have a wildly different trajectory for your health than maybe you have now. A lot of you out there are doing great. So if you're doing great, I'm not talking to you. But if you can shift your zero, first shift it away from something negative, choosing foods that affect your specific body negatively, choosing alcohol instead of nutrition, choosing negative thoughts. If you can shift that to zero, and not doing those things, you've leveled up. Once you get to that point, if you can shift that from doing something, anything, recognizing that any deposit in an interest bearing account yields a return, it's going to give you something except for a zero deposit. Every deposit compounds in interest except the zero deposit. So moving your zero is the first strategy to understanding how to work with your capacity on any given day instead of judging yourself against your ability and wishing that you were able to do on that day what you may have done in earlier times in your life, in different situations in your life, because I don't want you to ever allow your ability to detract from your capacity on any given day, right? I don't want you to contrast yourself against the things that you used to be able to do, right? And decide if I can't do all of what I used to be able to do, I'd rather do nothing. And recognizing your capacity on any given day versus your ability on any given day is going to help you recognize that there's usually something positive that can be done in the course of a day, a week, a month, or a year. And if you're able to gravitate towards just something that can be done on that day, again, those things are going to compound over time. That's going to change the trajectory of your health journey. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of your capacity versus your ability is having an implemented lower capacity workout if exercise is a thing, or having the ability to implement a lower capacity nutritional choice. This is something that I work with a lot with my clients. And what I like to do is I like to offer them a 10 or 15-minute workout that's possible that they can default to if they're not able to, if their capacity that day doesn't allow them to be able to perform at the level that they maybe think they should, right? It's all about getting something done in the face of probably defaulting to nothing. So, understanding that on a daily basis, you may need to adjust what's going on your wellness journey. It could be that you had plans to make some fresh grilled proteins. It could be that you had plans to make some grilled veggies, right? And at that point in your day, when it's time to get that started, things go off the rails, right? And you may have to default to a quick rotisserie chicken from your local grocery store, a bagged salad, a steamable cup of rice that's on the dry aisle, right? Something you just stick in the microwave. That's okay. I think oftentimes because we see such a hustle mentality in terms of social media fitness and wellness, we see such a drive for perfectionism in terms of social media fitness and wellness. We don't have the we don't give ourselves the grace, and we don't develop the skill set to default to an easier choice. Sometimes you need to have a pre-installed low capacity solution for what the day presents to you. This is not a failing. If anything, this is a uniquely impressive victory to find what can be done in the context of your wellness journey. Again, at this point in a woman's life, and I'm speaking directly now to those women out there and my clients, of course, that are in the menopause spectrum, there are so many added responsibilities, so many added pressures, some of them internal, some of them external. You've got the pressure of probably an ailing and or aging parent, right? You've got the pressure of probably a teenager who might be a little bit of a jerk, or a college student who's out of the home. You've got the pressure of probably the most responsibility you've ever had in the context of what you do for a living. You've got the internal pressure of probably withdrawing or fluctuating estrogen that makes cognition really, it makes it really difficult to think clearly. Not only that, you're probably more easily agitated at this stage, again, because of the withdrawal and fluctuation of estrogen. You're also probably more likely to be sore and have achy joints. All of these things are biological happenings that are real based on this time of your life. And because of those things, you can only frustrate yourself by wishing that it was a different time in your life or wishing that the circumstances were different. What I try to do with clients is I try to make sure that we are working with the truth of what the situation is at any given time. Sure, I know you'd love to work out 6 days a week. I know you'd love to get in 4 strength training sessions of 45 minutes and 2 high intensity interval training sessions. I'd love that for you. But if we always plan for the most ideal situation, when reality hits, you're going to be incapable of making decisions that allow you to improve over time. And again, I'm going to keep referring to this point. Every deposit into an interest bearing account, and your wellness journey is an interest bearing account, every deposit that you make will compound in interest except for a zero deposit. So having a pre-built low capacity nutritional option each day, having a pre-installed low capacity exercise option each day can work wonders for allowing you to maintain your health journey, can work wonders for you compounding the interest of that health journey, and having success over time instead of being so fixated and rooted in judgment. One thing that I hate to see from coaches, particularly when they're working with women in midlife, and again, every woman has their own separate midlife menopause transition journey. It affects everybody wildly different. But one thing that I hate to see coaches do is say things like, you don't want it bad enough. I have to work with a certain amount of cultural humility because as a cisgendered heterosexual man, I am never going to experience the bone dead exhaustion that can occur as you're going through the menopause transition. I'm not going to experience any genitourinary symptoms of menopause or syndrome of menopause. There are so many things that I cannot experience firsthand that all I can do is educate myself to a level of empathy to help you be your best self when you are also confused, when there's a small amount of information coming in for you. So what I always want to do is I always want to make sure that you have options for your lower capacity days because they're going to happen. It's a point in fact. The third strategy that I like to use in order to allow you to work with your capacity that day and not judge yourself against your previous levels of ability is I like to use the 5 minute rule. And I just tell my clients, hey, all I want you to do is give your exercise routine that day 5 minutes, right? Just 5 minutes, that's it. And the way it works is get your you get yourself dressed in your workout clothes, you get to wherever it is that you normally exercise, you set the timer on your watch or on your phone for 5 minutes, and you start your program. Whatever it is, however it works, however it starts, you give yourself 5 minutes of that. When that watch timer goes off, you make a decision. Either I can keep going for 5 more minutes, or that's it. That's all I've got today. I showed up. You need to give yourself grace to make that decision and not beat yourself up about the fact that you did 5 minutes. We need to shift the thought process from I only did 5 minutes to I did not do zero today. But if after that 5 minutes you feel like you've got 5 more minutes in you, guess what you do? Set that watch again for another 5 minutes, and you give your program another 5 minutes. When it goes off, you've got a decision to make again. At this point, we are deciding between packing it in. That's what I've got for today. I gave my body 10 minutes of wellness expression, right? Or after that 10 minutes, I'm going to keep going, but now you're going to take all the timers off. If you keep going the second time, you're going to complete your workout, which happens more often than you think. Because once you start that exercise routine, usually the endorphins start to flow. You start to feel good. You get into it. You're there already, or you're dressed in your living room already, or you've got your workout tape on already, or you've been through half of the sets already. You're going. I love the 5 minute rule too. Me too, Dr. Lisa. Happy anniversary, by the way, Dr. Lisa. I haven't forgot about you. But that 5 minutes, if you look back on the course of your life, ladies, and you replaced every single time that you did not give your body movement with 10 minutes of movement, again, you have wildly shifted the trajectory of your wellness journey. So, the last tip that I like to utilize in terms of allowing you to operate with your that day's capacity versus judging yourself against your previous ability is the volume method. And when I talk about the volume method, I mean the volume of like a radio dial, right? Because oftentimes when we have difficulty, when we have challenges, particularly if we have an extended period of challenge, like it's gonna your seasonal, you have a seasonal occupation and there's a busy season, or you know that your wellness journey is more difficult to pull off during summer out of school. You're going to have a specific time of difficulty. I like to turn down the volume instead of hitting the on and off switch. Oftentimes, what happens, we get busy, things get difficult, and we say, I'm just going to hit the switch. I'm just going to turn my fitness off for a little bit. I like to think of it more as a volume dial. So I remember I was 20 once, right? I remember being in my 20s, a few months away from 50 now, but I remember being in my 20s and having house parties. And invariably in an apartment complex, the sheriff's going to show up or the police are. Uh, Everybody hides, right? I got people in the closets in the apartment, people in the bedrooms, people in the bathroom. And what did I do? Turn down the music. So when the officers knocked, I turned everything down. It's a problem, officer. I didn't turn it off though, right? I didn't turn the music off. I just turned it down because off would be weird. I don't want it to be quiet. I like to look at the wellness journey that way, particularly when you have extended periods of difficulty. Instead of turning your switch on and off all the time, turning. It's gotten busy. I need to turn off the exercise. I'll get back to it. It's gotten busy. I need to turn off prioritizing more healthful nutrition that's more in line with my intention for my health. Turn it down, right? Turn it down. I gave the example earlier. Maybe you're not meal prepping during this period. I don't particularly like meal planning. I like to advise it. It's good for the people it is good for. But maybe at this point, you're buying a rotisserie chicken again and that bag salad from the grocery store, right? You've turned the volume down. You're not meal prepping, but you haven't turned everything off. Again, with the exercise, right? Maybe you're no longer working out 4 days a week. Maybe you're exercising 1 day per week. That's fine. That's something. I've turned the volume down from 4 to 1, right? Think about your wellness journey as a volume dial instead of it being an on and off switch. And at any point that you lack perfection, you have to turn the switch off. If you think about it as a volume dial, you can let the music play in the background. There's still a wellness party going on. I just turned the music down a little bit. We've gone from house party to cocktail party, right? Break out the drinks. So these strategies, these things um, allow you to properly give yourself grace for what your capacity might be at any given time versus always judging yourself by some idealized version of your ability. Now, I know the hardcore lifters out there hate hearing a message like this, but most of the people that hate hearing a message like this are not in the transition from menopause where the relational familial aspect of your life is up in the air, where your physical aspect, hormonal aspect of your life is fluctuating all the time, where the situational aspect of probably your occupation, how your kids are relating to you, how you're relating to them, the shit they're getting into, right? All these things are fluctuating, and we need strategies for the real life version of your life, not the idealized, I wish I could, or ideally I would version of your life, because those things are often going to lead you to some internal conflict as you consistently realize that there's not a lot of control over a lot of things during this period of life for most women. And your capacity will often not match your ability at any given point. And the great news is, when your capacity matches your ability, you can absolutely crush it. You're that version of yourself, right? However, when your capacity does not match your ability, you're not in a space of zero. And one great overarching sort of strategy you can think of is that if I can maintain the little increments in between on days I don't have the energy necessarily, on days when I don't have the mental acuity to concentrate on exercise, on days where shit absolutely hits the fan, if I can do a little something on those days and I can crush it on the days that I feel good, and I mesh those two methodologies together, over time, what I'm going to get is a result of consistency over time, prioritizing my health and maintaining an effort that's congruent with my intention for my health. So, ability versus capacity. Please do not give away your capacity for the day just because it's not at the same level as your ability typically may have been historically, because a lot of the time you'll compromise your own health journey uh, for reasons that aren't sensible, right? And we don't want you to do that. There, there's always something. May have to shrink it a little bit, but there's always something you can do. Because overall, remember, every deposit into an interest-bearing account will compound in interest, except for a zero deposit. And I had to learn that the hard way. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for rocking with me, Instagram. I appreciate you. Until next time, let's keep it simple. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, everybody else. Thanks for checking in with me. I'll see you next time. Have a great Tuesday.